Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Rambling Toffee podcast. I'm Mark. I hope everybody's had supposedly a good weekend, if there is one, especially after the result on Saturday, which I'll speak more in a moment. So I hope everybody's doing well. It's not great out there at the moment. Hopefully, we'll have some improved weather as the week goes on. So, yes, this podcast was, well, I was thinking after I did my last one, which was obviously after the Brentford result and how well we played, and seems to we got something running and players playing well, and formation and tactics seems to was working, and it was really really positive, and that week was really really positive, and especially as we moved on into last week, and of course we had Aston Villa on Wednesday night, and that result and how well we played in that game, even with a change of formation. I was expecting, and probably like nearly every Evertonian out there, that we were coming up to the game against Luton on Saturday, that we would, come away with a win. We would come away with play that kind of performance. But, well, we got the opposite. So I just want to go back in time because I want to try and have some positivity in this podcast today. And try not to be create too much doom and gloom. But yeah, so of course, after the Brentford result, positive, everybody playing well, seemed to be a setup that the players seem to be comfortable with against Brentford, and we come away with a really, really good result, a great boost. Everybody felt a bit optimistic going forward that we've got a couple of home games coming up as well in the league, and we will come away with some points and trying to build, as I will call this podcast, momentum and confidence. That's how this podcast was going to be about momentum and the confidence and going forward. But as you can guess, as per usual, the football team decided to throw the usual spanner into the works, and well, we go from, and I'll speak about that in a moment. We go into the Villa game, change of formation, really, really, five at the back, playing with Garner and Arner in the middle, and with Harrison playing for the first 60 minutes, Danjuma playing, and with Beto up front, and we were aggressive, we were determined, we were passionate, we put in the effort. Everybody seemed to know what they were doing. Everybody seemed to feel comfortable in the roles that they were given, and we saw that kind of result against the team. Okay, they rested their players, five of their players. We rested five of our players, but coming off the result against Brentford and then that result and coming away with a 2-1 win, it was really, really positive and really optimistic. That the feeling that I had and probably everybody had was, we're going forward. It seems to be we've got the players now. We're stronger in a sense of the word. Um, with injuries now, not an issue, except of course with Seamus Coleman still to come back. But we had options on the bench. We had options. We can move things around. We could be a bit different. We could have played 4-4-2. He could have tried different formations. So there was a lot of things taken in and positivity that was taken from those two results. That going forward, coming into the Luton game, that we would actually, continue that form and be confident enough to, go out on the pitch and actually do, get the result that we needed. And there's no disrespect to Luton; they're in the bottom end of the table, and the expectation at that moment in time, and it's not being arrogant or in any way, that the feeling was that if we play to that kind of performances that we've had, I think we would have come away with very, very easily 3 points. So we come to the Luton game. We come to that game. It was a miserable day, rain wise. It was cold, wet, and horrible. The team, as per usual, Sean Dyche set with the same team that was set up against Brentford. The only difference was we didn't have Calvert-Lewin. We had Beto up front. So he started with that team, and as per usual, we started off as expected really, really well. For 15-20 minutes, we were passing the ball around really confidently. We were getting in positions. There were great opportunities there. We should have been 3 or 4 up before we got the Luton first goal, but it was really positive and you can feel it. But then as we got to the 20th minute or roughly at that period of time, gradually Luton started to get back into the game. They started to get balls down the wings. And I was speaking to a friend next to me, and she says, you know, they're getting more of the ball. They're getting it down the wings. They're getting into positions across the board, and it's getting very nervy at the back. It was very, and you can just see things starting to turn. And then of course they score from the corner. Um, Poor defending. Pickford saved it, and then it came out, and we were not quick enough to the crossing. We weren't quick enough to clear the ball when the opportunity. So that one down. But from all of us, what we've seen early on in the game in the beginning is that we were optimistic. I felt confident still that we can get back into this game quite quickly and we'll be okay. And but then it just seemed we just the back up. We got the ball. There was no kind of press to try and get back into the game. It seemed to go back to the revert to the usual thing, which was trying to cross the ball into the box. Um, from the back, trying to get it into the box, trying to get players the midfield onto the ball and then start creating, using the width. And then of course they get a free kick, which is a bit debatable if it was a free kick or not, but there you go. And then that the finish by the player, I can't remember what his name is, but it was absolute fantastic finish. But the defensive setup for that was terrible. He was just left right at the end by himself, nobody watching him, nobody showing any kind of awareness to actually watch him. So whoever set that defensive situation up need a lot of words being mentioned to him today. I kind of think if it's Tarkowski was the captain, he should have been making sure that defensive defensive situation was put in the right place. But yeah, it was disappointing. We were 2 down, and it just seems our head dropped a little bit after that. And then we did rally, and what was great, we rallied after we went 2 down. Obviously, we had opportunities. Of course, Garner hit the bar, and we got ourselves in some good crossing positions. So the percentage and the possession that we had throughout the game, you can look at the stats, were quite high. The opportunities that we had on target was quite good. And you can think about all that, but all the missed chances and everything else were quite a lot. I think about 13, 14 shots or something, whatever we had. I think 5 of them were only on target in the whole of the game. And I think it was, we got the goal, not long before half time. Of course, it went to VAR, and it took such a while. That was frustrating. I can't believe why would you wait, take about three and a bit minutes to check a goal for an offside decision, and I was baffled by it. Of course, there's been a lot of issues over this weekend with other games that I can go in on another occasion, but of course, Everton is the main thing on this occasion, and it was it was just 3 minutes and 20 seconds or something like that, and it was just like, why? It doesn't take long to check the line, to check to make sure that it was either offside or inside. And the indication or the feeling I got from that was it was like they were trying to mark it as offside and they're trying to do everything they possibly can to make sure it was offside. When we all found out, of course, it was onside and it was a goal. And Calvert got his goal at home, and it was our first goal of the season, which is a landmark in itself. But yeah, so that took a while, and then we had a bit of momentum going up to half time. So there was still that positivity in my mind. I was still optimistic that I thought, we had the percent, we've got a little bit our tails up a bit here. We can go back out, you know, get get Harrison on, and Sean Dyche did the right thing, brought Harrison on quite quickly for the second half. But for some reason, there was no momentum. There was no fight, no desire to be committed enough to get forward as quickly as I possibly can, to pressurise and get high up the pitch and to try and create opportunities. And it was just going backwards. And when we were going forward and we were passing the ball and in situations, it was slow and laboured. And the only player and what I was seeing was Harrison. Harrison was getting the ball. He was trying. He was all everything. All the situations and opportunities or came from that side of the pitch, and he made an impact. But the rest of the players were not impacting. They were just slow, laboured, getting into positions. I don't know what it was. I don't know what. Again, it's an issue with. Is it the issue with the home form? Is it the issue with the tactics and the formation or what's been set up for home games? What is different? Why is it that we are in the last two games away? We played really well, being aggressive, being very, forward thinking, positive, and going forward, I'm getting really, really good performance from a lot of players like Anana and Garner in the central area, if you're using Aston Villa as an example. And with Harrison playing that 60 minutes, and you're seeing real positive players going forward. But it just felt different for a home game. Why aren't we setting up and playing that, playing those formations, them setting them tactics and actually playing them in a home game? Why is it, what's different? Why do we still have to set up in the same way? Because if you look at the team that started on Saturday, he brought Decore back in, he brought Idrissa Gueye back in, he put McNeil back in, and there was just no. I can't understand what it was trying to achieve um, by playing a formation and a tactic that seems to be exactly the same kind of formation and tactics that have been ongoing since the start of the season, specifically at home, specifically against Fulham and against Wolves. The tactics that were caused the Arsenal game, which was very, very disappointing, and just basically it seems to be that we'll play safe here. We'll set the team like we have done for every home game that we've played this season. We'll play it that way. Everything and should be fine. But as much as all the opportunities and the amount of percentage of possession that we had, it was quite high when you look at it, and all the stats that showed that on another day we could have won 6, 7, 8, whatever, scored as many goals as you want. But it's like deja vu. It's the same old. But the difference is that the Fulham and Wolves games and also the Arsenal games is that the Arsenal game we did have Beto starting. We did have a striker. But in the other games we didn't have a recognised striker. Okay, no, Neil Maupay was still at the club at the beginning of the season, but we were using other players in that position, which it's not their role and it's not their job to do. Now, in the end, on Saturday, we ended up with having Beto and Calvert-Lewin up front centrally and going to a 4-4-2, bringing McNeil off, getting Danjuma on, get Harrison on, and playing the two in the central with Anana and Garner, and trying and manoeuvring around. But it, why why can't we be proactive? Why can't we be Why can't we, when we see a performance like in midweek, okay, it's away from home, and predominantly because the opposition, the home team, is going to be more attacking because they're at home. Psychologically, you think, okay, we have to set it in a way that will counter attack and will do something different from that in that sense. Why don't we try something different at home? Why don't we go 4-4-2? Why don't we go with how that game ended or how the game began on Wednesday, just because it's away from home? Does it really matter? Is it worth just deciding, Let's change it up a bit differently. Why don't we go with five at the back? Why don't we go with what we had in the Villa game? Why don't we see how that goes? Try something different, because what's happening at the moment, and it might continue on. We'll find out against Bournemouth um, on Saturday. Is that every home game we've had this season, we've lost, of course, and it's all been about the setup. It's all been about what the formation's been. Yes, we've been in positions to create some opportunities, but even with strikers or without strikers, we've still not been able to score goals, and we've not been able to get the ball in the back of the net. Yes, we finally scored on Saturday, but it was a scramble into the box. We've got that opportunity. Yes, there's been chances, especially in that first half, where we could have been out of sight. But again, we've got Calvert-Lewin up front. The crosses are going in. They're missing him. There's like everybody's slowed down. Nobody wants to get on an end of a cross, because there were one or two really good crosses going into the box, and all it took was if somebody can go flying in and get themselves on the end of it, and we'll score. But I can't understand what's going on. I wish I do, and it's getting frustrating. And as that game wore on, and the second half specifically, we just went backwards and backwards. Players slowing down, they were not. And as a fan base, and as fans, myself and everybody else, we're getting frustrated by it. We're moaning about it. We're getting angry about it. We're thinking, why? What's going on? Why aren't you trying to get into the box? What's going on? And then we started seeing as the getting desperate and getting panicky. And because you can feel it in the crowd, the momentum of that first 20 minutes, everybody was behind the team. Everybody was getting behind. When we went one down, we still got behind the team. When we went two down, what happened next was we still got behind the team. We're still trying to roar the team on, getting behind them, getting them up the pitch, getting them, to do. But something, but when the second half came along, the players just was like they didn't know what to do. So it was like, well, we'll just launch it like we do. Here comes a launcher from Jordan Pickford. Tarkowski getting it in the position that he starts to launch it, getting it forward as quickly as possible. That 20 minutes of passing the movements and everything else, and the last bit of the second half where we were being more pushing, pressurizing, getting into their faces and doing what we should be doing. It actually, that's what we needed to continue on in the second half, and it didn't. And it just didn't continue on. And we were sitting there trying to get, but you can understand the anger. You can understand the feeling that we have is what you're doing. Where's this team that for the last two games of Brentford and Villa, where's those players gone? Why aren't they performing today? Why aren't they doing that job? Why can't they, keep on going at it? What's stopping them? And of course, it goes back to mentality, confidence. And when I spoke at the beginning of this about them two results, it's about momentum and it's about confidence. Those two games, I would guess, will give them players a massive amount of confidence in themselves, because everything was working well, playing well, and you would think that would give them a boost and giving them confidence to go forward. That's what you would expect. So they gave the fan base and us, they gave us the confidence that when we went into the Luton game, yes, it would be difficult, but we were confident enough that they would actually go out there and they would put a result in. That was the feeling that you got. But what has happened is that confidence is obviously very fragile, and obviously, you're full of it, and you want to go out and do it. But when things are not working, or the ball doesn't go in the back of the net, or you make a little error here or that your confidence starts dropping. So this is what we're getting. Their confidence is fragile, and any kind of boost that they can get, or any kind of confidence they get, they have to work really, really hard to actually maintain that. And I think that's just, really the struggle that they're having at the moment, and it will continue to struggle unless we can get momentum. And we thought we had that momentum. There was an opportunity where we're at home, where we all feel, apologies, we all feel that we, that we can get a result. We're at home, but there is something not happening this season at home, and we can't seem to be getting them results. And hopefully, again, we go back to the hope that we're playing Bournemouth. They're the bottom end of the table. They're struggling as well. That we can at least come flying out and actually get a result and build that momentum again, build that confidence again. We'll have to wait and see. But from the game's point of view, it was disappointing. We can take the positive of a week. I know there's been a lot of conversations on social media regarding the manager at the moment. I'm keeping my cards close to my chest about that. I just feel at the moment he's obviously been able to um, in the last three games, the last two games before the Luton game, can get a tune out of the players, get a tune out of the tactics. I can understand some people might think I'm wrong about that. I think he should be gone. I think he's on borrowed time. If I'm honest with you, I'll try and keep my clothes where I really would think um, what should happen with Sean Dyche. But I think he is. If we don't get a result against Bournemouth, I think questions are going to be and more so than ever because we've only had one win this season in the Premier League. Okay, we've had one win in the cup, a couple wins in the cup, sorry, but in the league where it's our bread and butter, there's one win, and I can't what the stat is, but it's not a very good stat to have that. We continually to lose, and in normal circumstances, if performances like that, it doesn't matter if you play well in games, but if you or whatever, but if it's about results business, and if we're not winning games and we're not getting performances, and we're where we are, questions have to start to be asked. So when I say close to my chest at the moment in time, I'm not ready to pull the trigger on it, and I just feel that he's been given a little bit of time in my mind for the last two results, Brentford and Villa, but it, it's not helping him that what we saw on Saturday, and it'll be a massive game on Saturday regarding Bournemouth. If the team can perform like they have been showing and can put that game against Luton as a one-off moment, I'm not. I'm being optimistic there. Of being one-offs because it might not be the case. But if we can get a result and play well and you show that that was last week was just one of those games, then he'll have the time and hopefully have the help to go forward. So we'll see on that front. But again, it's a hope in the air, and it's just frustrating that we've got players back to full fitness. We can change the team around. We can change the formation. We can be a bit different. We can there's strength on the bench which we've not had. And so there's positives on that, but we need to get results because at one point it's just because we're in October. There's going to come a point where we're going to be out of distance from a lot of other clubs. I know at this moment in time you can probably say there's three worse clubs than us. Um, that that I mean, that could be going down this season, but it's too early, and I wouldn't think like that. I'd rather be thinking some point in April time, looking at the table and actually thinking, well, we're fine, we're safe for the season, and that's where I'd rather be. But as you can guess, it's not to be. At this moment in time, we're still trying to get better. But it's demoralising where you get on a high, and you want to see the team, continue that form, gain momentum, get the confidence, build it, and build it to a point that we're way well away from that position. And I can ramble on and on and on about, are these players good enough? Are they Premier League class? Well, at the moment in time, you know, they've shown signs against Brentford, who are a good team, and Villa in the cup, that we are a Premier League team, Premier League players, Premier League club. But when you get results like against Luton or other games, they don't. There's. Do you think that they are good enough players for the Premier League, and are they just Championship standard? What we don't know. And that's a question what will happen as the season goes on. But as I can guess, it's here we go again. It's one, 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and it just feels like here we go again, and it's a work in progress. I hope. So we'll see on Saturday. Hopefully, a better performance. Hopefully, we'll come away with 3 points, and we won't have to think about a Luton game. We can go forward and be a little bit more positive in that sense. So we'll see. So we got Bournemouth upcoming. It's not helpful, I will say, before I go from this podcast today, because normally I speak about the certain takeover that's ongoing at the club at the moment, with 777 partners. They were at the game, I believe. We found out yesterday that there's pictures of them there watching the game. Um, yes, I'm still very wary of them. I don't think they're going to help the club going forward. But it's not in my hands. I will say to anybody out there, please, if you can, go on Paul Diesk. He's got a great article out there regarding 777. Of course, he actually spoke to them the other day regarding. He's obviously asked a lot of questions. He's not been able to actually, obviously, tell everybody uh, what their replies have been and everything else. But I'm very much in his camp when it comes to them, and I feel that just because they're putting money in at this current time to keep the club running, operational on a day to day, on a week to week basis. You can say you look at that as positive or negative, but it's like a loan. But we've got too many creditors at the club at the moment that we're paying to. So um, we'll see what that entails when this takeover is complete, and if it does happen, because it still has to go through the usual Premier League and all the other different places that it needs to do to actually get signed off and we can complete. My worry is that as much as they're investing money in as a loan, the question is, where is the rest of the money? The money for taking Mashiri's shareholding, capital for the business, and also for the stadium, and what's going to happen regarding that. Have they got that money available? We will find out in time, in due course, that they will have, if they do have that. But it's a worry for me that I feel it should be somebody else investing who has that money up front and has that know-how and understanding of the situation that Everton are in. Because the size of the club, it's we all know, we've had the conversation before, that it's massive. It's a massive club. It's got so much potential, more than a lot of other clubs. I'm not naming one club who already been taken over by a certain Saudi based group, but it for me, we got all the potential there to move forward, especially with a new stadium under the horizon. But I don't know if they're good enough or that they're right for this football club at this precise moment. And well, we'll see what happens next, because they obviously they have issues, as I mentioned before, regarding court cases and not making payments here, there, other clubs or other things that's ongoing. All the stuff that's out there, it's in the public domain, and we'll see if you know what will happen next, if they actually will get to complete, and if they do, then they need to speak to us and tell us what their plans are and what they want to do going forward. As I said, it's out of my hands, it's out of most fans' hands. We can talk about it, debate about it, we can demonstrate about it, we can do everything we possibly can about it, but it's out of our hands. The only people that can make the decision for it to fall through is the Premier League and the FCA and so forth. They can only make them decisions going forward. So we'll find out on that front. But if it was to fall through, the concerning thing is on that point of view is we want to take over, we want people to come in, we want to get the right people in to take over the club and move it forward. But if we don't get that 777 were not to take over, so it's a catch-22. This is, if they were not, then we could go into administration. That could happen because, of course, they will probably want their money back, and we'll be square one. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see as the next few weeks go. Hopefully, we'll hear more as time goes on. But watch this space. Anyway, on that note, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for listening. It's been very, very, very much appreciated, especially the feedback I have been getting from plenty of fellow Blues out there, and really positive feedback, which is really, really good. Yes, ongoing. I'm hoping to grow the audience and the listeners further. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to get this even better, and hopefully to expand on it and extend and do other different types of interviews and anything like that. But it's been so appreciative that people have spent the time to listen to my podcast and give me that boost and give me that confidence that I can actually do this on a weekly basis, and I can increase it further, and get as many Blues wanting to listen to me rambling on, which has been the main thing, the main reason why I've really enjoyed talking on here. So thanks everybody. I hope everybody has a good week. I'm looking forward looking forward to the game on Saturday. I'll be back next Monday for another podcast, another Rambling Toffee. So in the meantime, everybody take care, have a good week, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.